So how did it go at the school at the lower and upper elementary?
It went great.
So tell me a little bit about the program.
Well, basically we invite all the elementary kids in, the lower.
Mm-hmm.
They all come in. This was their first assembly, so they didn't know what to expect, and then they
All
got
right.
me. So, I went in there and just kind of hit, on making right decisions, right choices,
Mm-hmm.
and, something we don't hear a lot about these days, that if you make wrong choices, bad things happen.
Right.
You make good choices, good things happen. And while we were there, I just wanted to let them know that we're going to do a big show today at 5 o'clock. And I want to kind of give them an idea of what that looks like. So I took a Louisville Slugger baseball bat that Sonny here happened to have in his back pocket. And I took it and put it over my leg and broke it in half. And they all went nuts. They loved it. So it went really well.
They enjoyed that part of that. So what got you into speaking to crowds? How did that come about? How did that get started?
Believe it or not, I started doing this stuff when I was 14. I got a book out on it, actually.
Yeah.
I started doing this when I was 14 years old. I've always loved martial artists,
Mm-hmm.
and I loved the art of martial arts. And, I was a big Bruce Lee, Chuck Norris fan.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
But when they would break a board or a brick, that to me was just impressive. I mean, you could throw all the punches and kicks in the world, big deal. But, man, when they broke something that was not supposed to be broken, that was cool. So that's what got me into it. I started breaking, started off slow, went with one piece of wood and graduated up to one concrete slab, graduated up to one piece of ice, and then just started getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It got to the point to when I would go to the emergency room, they knew me on a first name basis. Yeah.
They knew when you were trying some new material.
I can just tell you now that not all material is created equal. Yeah. So that led from one thing to the next. I had a group of guys that were with me, and it was funny because I started teaching them how to break and how to do stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it just went to the extreme. It wasn't just about breaking boards, bricks, and ice. Now it started moving down the line to blowing up hot water bottles till they explode, breaking baseball bats, bending steel bars, taking car license plates, ripping them in half. And literally, I remember one day we were filming just like a regular camera.
Yeah.
We pulled out a big long table, and we set on the table everything that we could possibly break or destroy. So on this long table, we had phone books, car license plates, horseshoes, 60 penny nails, baseball bats, hot water bottles. I mean, cans of Pepsi and Coke. And you're like, what do you do with that? Yeah. I mean, decks of playing cards. I mean, just anything, dude. We were steel bars.
Yeah.
So we were filming something that we were going to send to the Guinness Book of World Records.
Okay.
Because I have to admit, I was irritated and angry with them.
Yeah.
Kind of like same thing with ESPN. They had people on their shows saying that they hold world records or they Guinness World Record for this or that. And I was irritated because I was like, how can they be the world champion or the Guinness World Record holder when I could blow that out of the water?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, let's film something and send it to them.
Yeah.
So that's what we did. Next thing you know, one of the things that we had on the table was a frying pan. So I took the frying pan and in my hand, and I did this to it. I went, like that. I did that. One of the other guys on my team, he had 4 or 5 decks of poker cards,
Mm-hmm.
and he just grabbed them and ripped them in half, grabbed it and ripped it in half, grabbed it and ripped it in half. The other guy, Mike West,
Mm-hmm.
he had a bunch of big, thick phone books, and he just grabbed them and tore them in half, and, one after the other, My brother took one of the hot water bottles, and he blew that thing up until it exploded, and he did it in under 60 seconds. Next thing I know, we're contacted by an official from the Guinness Book of World Records. They said, well, it is obvious to us you hold several world records. The hot water bottle is a contested one, but we would like to fly you all out to LA, and we would like you to set the record for the frying pan because that has never been done before. This was in 1999.
Okay.
It had never been done before. No one on national television has ever done this before.
Yeah.
So they wanted to know what would be the standard. You know, how long do you give a person? Are you measuring how big around it is when you're done? And I said, okay, look, I think you should give someone 30 seconds to roll it up as tightly as they can.
Yeah.
And then you measure the circumference, and whoever's roll it the tightest wins. And they're like, that sounds great. And the next thing I know, I'm being challenged. They fly me out there. I thought it was just going to be me, and I was going to set the world record, and everybody was going to have to challenge me afterwards.
Yeah.
No. They brought a defensive tackle from some NFL football team. His name was Daryl is his first name. I can't remember his last name. He was 6'6", 295 pounds. Probably had 10%, maybe, body fat.
Yeah,
The dude was
yeah.
a big boy.
Yeah. Yeah.
At that time, I weighed in at 225. I was thinner. Anyway.
It's been a while.
Yeah. So he went first. He rolled that thing up, I swear, in maybe 5-10 seconds. He had that thing rolled up like it was nothing. And he still had time to kill, so he's just smashing and grunting and groaning. And then it was my turn, and I got up there, and I'm struggling. I'm rolling that thing as hard, as tight as I can, and I'm literally, I took it down to the last second. 3, 2, 1, stop. You know, they measured mine, and I beat him by like almost a whole inch. So,
Wow.
and then from there, my brother did the hot water bottle.
Yeah.
Set the world record for that. The world record was 4 minutes and something seconds. He did it in 59.3 seconds. So we went there to prove a point, and we proved it.
So what did it feel like to set your first world record?
I have to admit, man, I was so just shocked. You know, like I said, I beat him by almost a whole inch. And when they read my numbers off, I was so nervous that it didn't even click. It didn't even click to me that, dude, I destroyed you. It didn't click, and I'm still sitting there waiting, and I'm looking at him, and looking at the referee, and he goes, Craig Pumphrey is the new Guinness World Record holder, and then it hit me, and I'm like, oh my God. So I was floored. That was my first time on national television.
Yeah.
That was my first time in front of a live studio audience. So it was my first time behind all these big cameras, you know, all Hollywoodish. And that was my first world record.
So you just were curious at 14, martial artist, and
Yeah.
it just kept growing on top of that.
Yeah. Got into martial arts pretty extensively. Ended up winning several state titles, national titles, fought in the world championships in Athens, Greece. My background is called eclectics, which means to pull from many sources and to combine into one. That's what the true definition of the word is. Ended up getting into pancration. A lot of people are like, what's pancration? Yeah. What is that? Pancration has been around since the 6th century. Alexander the Great, he was a pancrationist. If you've ever seen the movie The 300, all of the Spartan soldiers, they were pancrations. It was so brutal. In fact, it reigned and ruled supreme in the Olympics for the first 400, 500, 600 years before they took it out as a sport because they said it was too brutal. So that's what I got my background in. Got up to 7th degree black belt in pancration. And yeah, so
I guess now making the pivot from, like, you're not into enough things, guys. But so then at what point you're like, I feel comfortable in front of a crowd. I've got something to say. I want to share this message. When did you start kind of really getting into that?
I would say I was still a teenager.
Okay.
Because I started doing it when I was 14.
Yeah.
I started getting up in front of crowds probably when I was 16, because people wanted to see it. So immediately, you've got crowds of people. So I started getting invited to a little bit of everything. I had churches that invited me to come and do these, I call them shows or concerts, because I was into music too. So if you came, by the time, like I said, got in front of crowds when I was a teenager, started getting better and better and better and better as you go on throughout life. And then, of course, me and my guys, we also were a band.
Oh, okay.
So people tried to compare us and are like, what do we compare these guys to? And we were like compared to like Rage Against the Machine.
Okay.
That was the kind of music we did.
Yeah.
But we also demonstrated the rage on stage.
Yeah, I'd have been surprised if you're an Air Supply cover band. That would kind of that would not seem like a fit. But hey, I don't limit it. I mean,
Well, for example, one of the things we did is in one of our songs we had like a musical breakdown, right? And the lead guitarist would take his guitar off, set it on a guitar, stand on the stage, and then turn right around, take off running, and then tackle through 5.5 feet of concrete, get up, dust himself off, pick the guitar back up, and
what did you play?
I played the bass on
Okay.
occasion, and I was considered the lead screamer.
And songwriter.
Yeah, I was the
And
songwriter.
songwriter.
Oh, that's
and
really cool.
Lead singer.
He
and-
rapped.
Yeah, right. Like I said, kind of like Rage Against the Machine. I
Yeah,
don't know
yeah.
what you call that. I mean,
Yeah. There's some energy. It's just
it's
energy.
kind of like a rap,
Yeah.
kind of like a sing.
I just
but that's what we did.
just had a vision of a bunch of drum skins getting
I'm telling
punched
you,
through like
it
just.
was awesome. You would have loved it. So, that's what I did, and like I said, that's when the TV industry came along, and then they wanted my brother and I to do a unique show.
So what was that experience like being out in? Did you live out in California for that time then?
I could have, but I didn't.
Okay.
I was a full-time police officer, and I just retired last year, 20
Okay.
years in, and I'm out. And
Yeah.
so I was a full-time cop, and I would be working my full-time job, and then I would have to take vacation time for 2 weeks. And for those 2 weeks, I'd be out in L.A. filming the TV shows, hanging out with all the celebs. Like I was telling people earlier, season 2, our offices were actually located inside of Paramount Pictures. So there was Shia LaBeouf walking by, and we saw I can't remember his name. Christian Slater.
Oh, okay.
Christian Slater walking by. Hey guys, so we're like, hey, how you doing? And it was like everybody that you see on TV. They're all walking around because inside there, that's just their job. That's what
Right.
they do.
Right.
So it was different because for me, here I am a cop in the city, and I'm out here making drug busts, arresting people, putting them in jail, take off for 2 weeks, go to LA. Now I'm different because I'm a celebrity, hanging out with the celebrities, doing radio interviews and podcasts and
Yeah.
all this late night talk shows. Come back home, and then boop, have to go right back to work again and put on a different hat. So it was an experience.
I was say, how's that transition? How is that to go from that extreme to that extreme?
I'll be honest with you, man. It wasn't easy. It really wasn't. Because when you're there and you got to keep in mind it's a different pace. It's a different world. You're not an everyday person. You're in with those Class A people. So you're hanging out with other celebrities, and when you have that kind of influence and that kind of popularity and notoriety, anything you want.
Right. That's just a warped sense.
Well, and like he taught today, you have to make good choices.
Yeah.
And he gave that speech today as an experience of the places he's been and what he's done, that he had to make those good choices in order to come back and be the person that he was as a cop.
Yeah, because like I said, it was anything you wanted, whatever you wanted,
Yeah.
it showed up. You ask, you got it, and it was really neat because at the time, my brother and I, now to do the shows we were doing, we were expelling so much energy, it was ridiculous.
Right.
We were taking in thousands of calories a day and still losing weight.
Okay.
And you can't lose weight when you were doing the stuff we were doing. You can't get weak when you're doing
Yeah.
the stuff we were doing. So, like one of the things my brother and I wanted on set was Monster energy drinks. I drank the oranges and he drank the green ones.
Yeah.
I simply made that statement like I just made it to you now.
Yeah.
Nobody said nothing. Next day on set, big, huge, jacked up monster energy truck, pulls up. These guys jump out and they pull out a dolly load of orange and another dolly load of green. There it was.
Wow.
And then people would run up and say, Mr. Pumphrey, is there anything else you need? And I'm like, no, I think I'm good.
I would
I just made a statement. There it was next day.
I would get so fat eating In-N-Out burgers. It's just that's how my
Brother,
demise.
I'm telling you. See, you couldn't even make a statement like that because next thing you know, next thing on set, guess what shows up with?
That's right.
Yeah, that's
See, they had handlers there.
yeah.
And to climb that ladder in the film industry, if you're a handler, when you hear statements like that, you're on it. And you made sure it showed up. Everybody jokes about the one chick, I forget her name, big popular star. You know, she wanted M&Ms, only green ones. She made that statement. Guess what was in her dressing room the next day? A big bowl, green M&Ms. But that handler, oh man. Now that's when she said, I don't know who that guy is, but I like him.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say the challenge of it, making it happen. Like, I know a guy, or I know someone at Monster, and then they're probably more than happy to drive through. We're gonna set this up.
It was really cool because at the time we were endorsed by Monster.
Okay.
And we were also endorsed by Affliction clothing line. So all the clothes we wore was Affliction. And I don't know if you know about Affliction or not, but I mean, their boots are $500, their jeans are $300, their shirts are $150. Everything you're wearing is high dollar stuff. We were getting everything for free. We'd walk in and there's a whole rack of all kinds of clothes. You just went out and said which one you wanted to wear for each episode. And of course, we're destroying cars and helicopters and buildings. We're using only our bodies.
Yeah.
So whatever outfit we were wearing, they would have 3 pair of those outfits, because by the time I got a quarter of a way into filming that show, I've done ripped the jeans, done tore holes in the shirt, the heels of the boots are coming off.
Yeah.
So we had to have backups, but it was a neat experience. It was different, but to come back home, and then you walk into being a cop again, and people that you work with, the jealousy that was involved. It's sad that you would see grown adults act like children.
Right.
And the backbiting, the jealousy, the way that people treated you, I had to deal with all that too.
So how long, would you be home before the episodes would air? I mean, was it, 6 months later?
Yeah, it was usually 5-6 months later.
So you're like, I forgot I did that, or
Right.
I'm moving on.
Crazy. Yeah, I mean, because you could watch the episodes and you go, oh man, I didn't know I did that. Me and my brother would be sitting there,
Yeah, they're
and he'd
still
say
all over
something.
YouTube.
Yeah, he'd say something stupid or funny. I'm like, I didn't know you said that. He said, I didn't either.
It's funny to watch him laugh at himself.
I was pretty funny that day. I was really
It was
on.
funny.
It was cool, man. It was cool. I'm blessed. I'm grateful that I got to do it. And the other thing that was cool is that, my brother and I, we treated everybody like we wanted to be treated. Look, we're no better than anybody else at all, and we didn't act any different either. That's right. And we could have. We could have. Our show had more people watching it than Jay Leno had watching his show.
Wow.
So at the time, people don't realize how big it was until the numbers came in. And they're like, wow, Jay Leno would have 1.2 million people watching his show. When our show came on, it was 1.8, 1.9 million people. There were people tuning in to watch 2 goofy brothers tear apart stuff and make fun of each other in the process. But it was good.
So did you get to a point, though, where you thought about no longer being a police officer and moving then? Or is it just you like being grounded between the two?
No, it was, it's like I told people. It's like, look, I know who I am and I know who I'm not. An opportunity was presented. The doors were opened. We walked through them. We did some TV shows. It was cool. I still intended and planned on putting my 20 years in law enforcement and retiring from it, which I did. And, if the shows were still there, then that's cool. If not, that's fine too.
So this is completely unrelated to anything that we've been talking about. It's coming out. So what is a quote unquote favorite thing of yours to break?
Wow, that's a good one.
He looked like he liked the baseball bat pretty good.
I heard a rumor it had a little bend in it for you at first. There was a little bend. I heard a rumor. Someone may have came back to the office and said to me, there was some green bats. There was something like we set you up.
We have a couple extra bats
we
in the
got
truck
plenty
if you
extras
want to
if
get one
anybody
on
wants to
camera.
we can do it. We can do it. We can do it. It'd be great.
We could do that. I mean,
All of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, this is rubber. Why don't you guys stop it? Stop messing with me. Stuff like that. But
we could do that.
okay.
Yeah, go grab a bat.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, let's do it for real.
But is there something that you
I have to be honest with
Yeah.
you. I really enjoyed doing the TV shows
Yeah.
because every week when we would be flown into LA, we come into the conference room and they go, okay, guys, here's what you're going to do this week. You know, they'd slide this thing over
Yeah.
to us and we're looking at it and I'm like, we're going to destroy a military helicopter? Are you serious?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they're like, yeah. We're like, yes. You know, so
It sounds like it was a great pairing, though. They're coming with the creative, and you guys are just like,
yeah,
we're doing this. Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
let's
Well,
do
you
it.
know, it's like, you know, the Guinness Book of World Records. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it got to the point to where every episode we did was a new world record
Okay.
because of what we were doing. We were using no tools. We just went in. They said, hey, boys, here's a 1985 Pontiac Firebird classic car. We're in a junkyard. Destroy it, but don't do it until we say action. Are you guys ready? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Action. And we would just start destroying this thing. You know, and by the time we were done, it was nothing but a bent up mess sitting on a frame.
All right, let's see this. Let's see this bat.
You want to see this rubber bat?
Yeah, this run. No, I was saying that's something we would do to you. We throw a rubber bat in. I think.
All right, you ready to see the rubber bat?
Yeah, I'm ready to see the rubber bat.
There's the rubber bat.
Well, hey guys, I appreciate you chatting with me. This has been great. I've learned a lot. So I came in pretty ignorant, and I know just a little bit more than when I got started. So I appreciate
Well,
this.
I've got a book, and like I said, I've got all kinds of stuff in there just showing you. I got
Okay.
all kinds of photos of all the places we've been, things we've done.
Okay.
You can get on Amazon.com. You can put my name in there. It'll pull it up because it tells you my whole background.
Great.
And the other
Super
guys that
great.
were with me too.
Okay.
You know, it's got their backgrounds and all their
Yeah.
accomplishments in there, and just it's pretty cool.
Well, thank you.
It's a really good book.
I appreciate you guys. I appreciate for putting it together, for being here. Thank you so much.